Hi, this is Kitty. Today is 2/28/2022. This video is for Case Connection 4. Um, so I just want to go over some amino acid metabolism as well as some case studies to showcase what could happen within this pathway if there are dysfunctions. So a quick introduction, amino acid metabolism is a very important process that occurs in the body and it assists in biological reactions. It's regulated by glucagon and cortisol, as well as the amino acid supply. Metabolic disorders are caused by the body's inability to break down certain amino acids in protein or the inability to detoxify ammonia, which is the byproduct of amino acids. Ammonia is extremely toxic and can cause severe medical complications. So humans are considered ureotelic, which means they excrete most nitrogen in the form of urea produced in the urea cycle. The maintenance of plasma amino acids in between meals depend on the availability of stored protein as well as what we use. Muscle produces over half the pool of amino acids and the liver produces nitrogen. Free amino acids like alanine and glutamine go through a series of conversions to produce end products that are used in metabolic pathways such as the Krebs cycle, gluconeogenesis, and the electron chain. So in this case, as an example, alanine is transaminated with alpha keto acid to form pyruvate and glutamate. Transamination occurs when a protein, such as alanine, gives a keto acid its nitrogen and in return takes an oxygen. Once that happens, it becomes pyruvate and glutamate. It goes through the Krebs cycle, gluconeogenesis, and the electron transport chain, and then whatever else that's unused is then reduced with NAD or NADP, catalyzed by an enzyme called glutamate dehydrogenase to form glutamate back into alpha glutarate, which then releases the nitrogen right here as ammonia. So in the first case study, we have a newborn baby that was normal at birth. Within 24 hours, she starts to become lethargic, hypothermia, and apneic. The attending physician suspects a metabolic disorder and orders a panel labs. The blood work comes back with an elevated ammonia level at 314 and rapidly rose to 600. So this tells you that either the baby is not excreting ammonia properly or there's a dysfunction that's causing too much buildup. So when ammonia builds up in the peripheral tissues, an enzyme called glutamate synthetase, it corrects this ammonia into an amino acid called glutamine. And this this amino acid then is released into the plasma and sent to the liver, where another enzyme called glutamase frees the ammonia from the glutamine and boots it to the urea cycle, where ammonia is made, where it becomes urea and then gets sent to the kidneys where it's excreted as in the urine. So there is some connection between nitrogen transport and the gluconeogenesis pathway via the glucose-alanine cycle. It's actually very similar to the Cori cycle, in which the degradation of amino acids in the muscles is where this starts, results in nitrogen being transaminated to pyruvate to form alanine. Enzymes responsible for these transactions here is called alanine transaminase, aka ALT. So once pyruvate becomes alanine, alanine is then shuttled into the liver where it is converted back to pyruvate, and then this pyruvate can enter the gluconeogenesis pathway to make glucose, which is then sent to either the plasma or whatever tissues need it. So back to the baby. It seems like further analysis shows urine orotic acids are elevated and plasma citrulline levels are normal. So this baby girl's symptoms and elevated levels of urine orotic acid indicate an ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency. So that is the enzyme that catalyzes carbamoyl phosphate and ornithine to produce citrulline. So when there's a deficiency in this enzyme, it causes an increase of carbamoyl phosphate levels to rise, And then this goes and gets shunted to the pyrimidine pathways, which results in an increased level of urine and plasma orotic acid. So when we see another another lab test that says that the baby also has an increase in erotic urine levels, that will tell us that it is specifically ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency, because all the other enzymes such as arginine succinate synthetase or arginine succinase deficiencies actually result in either a reduced erotic acid level or normal. So because an OTC deficiency inhibits citrulline, which is then transformed into arginine, either arginine or citrulline becomes an essential amino acid in our diet because we can't produce it. So we have to replete it in order to maintain a normal rate of protein synthesis. So ammonia is great for cleaning, but bad for the brain. Case study number 2. This girl was born by vaginal delivery, was released from the hospital at 3 days of age. At 9 days, a screening test for branched chain amino acids came back positive, and the child's readmitted for further evaluation. The family doesn't have any genetic disease, and both of her siblings were well. So anytime we see an increase in branched chain amino acids, we immediately jump to maple syrup urine disease. It is a rare genetic metabolic disorder where the body can't break down branched amino acids such as valine, leucine, and isoleucine. So, like the most likely deficiency that causes branched chain amino acid elevation involves the alpha keto acid decarboxylase complex. Amino acids that are no longer metabolized by this disease are again leucine, isoleucine, and valine, making isoleucine and valine essential. If the baby girl's parents are both carriers, the baby has 1 in 4 chance of developing the condition, 1 in 2 chance of being a carrier, and 1 in 4 chance of receiving normal genes, which explains why her parents and siblings may not have the condition. Due to the impaired activity of BCKD, taking supplemental thiamine may help with thiamine-responsive maple syrup urine disorder because BCKD requires thiamine pyrophosphate as a cofactor. Treatment is to maintain a diet low in branched chain amino acids, and in most cases, supplemental isoleucine and valine. So case study number 3 is a 69-year-old woman presented with a 30-year-old history of back pain and large joint pain of the hips and shoulder. On exam, blue-gray pigment macules were present over the cartilage portions of the ears and the sclera. Past medical history includes aortic stenosis. So the metabolic defect here would be in the metabolism of tyrosine. So the homogentistic acid is what is being affected, and this is called alkaptonuria. So homogentisate oxidase is an enzyme that catalyzes homogentisate to malylacetoacetate, which is one of the steps of tyrosine catalysis. It causes an accumulation of homogentistic acid, and it is a genetic disorder characterized early on by urine that turns dark when it is exposed to air. That's one of the first symptoms. Additional symptoms, however, does not usually appear until about 30 years of age. As homogentistic acid accumulates in the connective tissues, affected individuals develop a condition called achronosis, in which connective tissues turn blue, gray, or black. In some individuals, this accumulation caused thickening of valves and narrowing of the openings of valves, resulting in heart disease. That's why she has a history of aortic stenosis, probably because of this. Tyrosine and its predecessors, phenylalanine, does not become essential because it cannot be broken down in alkaptonuria, and intake should actually be reduced. Administrations of vitamin C has been used to treat alkaptonuria because it hinders the disposition of accumulated homogentistic acids in the connective tissues. And that's what it looks like here. All right, so the last case study here, we have a 4-day-old infant being followed in the clinic. Her birth weight is 5.9 pounds, and the pregnancy and birth were normal. Results from newborn screening demonstrates a phenylalanine level of 6.6, which is pretty high. So elevated phenylalanine indicates a disorder called phenylketonuria, which is an inherited deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase. That's the enzyme that catalyzes phenylalanine into tyrosine, this guy right here. Let's see. So the other thing that could be causing this as well is if this baby has a BH4 deficiency, and BH4 is the cofactor for alanine and for alanine hydroxylase. So for phenylalanine to be catalyzed into tyrosine, we need BH4 as well as this enzyme. So if the cause of phenylketonuria is caused by a deficiency in BH4, we just go ahead and supplement BH4. Large neuroamino acids supplementation has also been shown to improve neuropsychological function by competitive binding at the L-type amino acid transporter 1. Vitamin K, calcium, B6, B12, folate, and iron can be given for deficiencies from a restricted diet. So these are the inherited disorders that can be caused by amino acid metabolism. And that is my case.